Flyers come home down 2-0, Dave. And I want to, Steve Mason said that he thought the better team lost the game. Is that just indicated by the amount of shots they had? You were there. Did you get a feeling that the better team didn't win on Saturday night?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it did have something to do with the fact that the Flyers nearly doubled the Capitals in shots. This whole series, it's pretty simple. It's about special teams. The Flyers' power play is 0 for 8. And if they don't score a power play goal tonight, they're done. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Their man advantage has been close, no cigar. Well, horseshoes and hand grenades. It's the only thing that close really counts in. So this team's got to get better on the man advantage if they're going to have a shot at coming back here in this series. And I think there's going to be a lot of obviously emotion tonight. Just being at home, number one, and number two, all the tributes that will happen for Ed Snyder before the game. But this is their one shot. If they lose tonight, I mean, they're toast.
I agree. I opened up with the same thing. The power play and the penalty kill have killed them. They've had their opportunities. The other night, what was the feeling after that goal? You're in the building. Did it just seem that goal that Mason gives up was going to be too much to overcome?
Yeah, because of how few opportunities the Flyers are taking advantage of when they had the pucks on their stick, yes. But I just couldn't believe it when I saw that goal. That's the worst goal I've ever seen in my life. And I think a lot of people felt that way. Steve Mason probably felt that way. So that was absolutely the backbreaker. And, Braden Holtby had some really interesting quotes after the game about how he said he couldn't even bear to watch that replay as a goalie. It just pained him just to even see it, and he said he was glad it wasn't a one-goal game. Well, that may be the case, but it was still the game-winning goal, which makes it look even worse. But that did take some of the wind out of the Flyers' sails. They had a couple opportunities to potentially come back after that, but that one just hurt big time.
Yeah, Dave Isaac at Dave G. Isaac on Twitter for tonight's Flyers and Capitals game. They come home, and the Flyers 4-0-1 to close out the season. They beat the Capitals there last week. Washington has not been a great playoff road team recently, but why is this different? Should we feel like this is a winnable game tonight, or is this Washington team just too poised and ready to make that next step?
I mean, they are poised, and they will make the next step. But this Flyers team has enough fight in them that they'll get one punch in the fight. And I think it'll be tonight. I think they can run off of pure emotion, and they fought so hard just to get here that they might have a little bit of that adrenaline left in them. There's no way that you look at these two rosters and think that the Flyers have a shot at winning this series based on merit. But I think that they have enough of an adrenaline push in them that they can take one game in this series, and I think it'll be tonight. I originally picked them to win in 7, thinking that this whole Ed Snyder thing would fuel them, and that they actually got under Holtby's skin a little bit in the regular season, but the Capitals have just taken their game to a complete other level in this playoffs, and they still haven't played great offensively yet. But Braden Holtby has been way on top of his game, and now I think it'll probably be Caps in 5.
Yeah, and Dave,
you're asking me to talk on the fly, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, and Dave, the 5-on-5, the Flyers have been, they actually doubled them, the other night, but Holtby has been that good. I think he kind of hasn't gotten the attention maybe because of some other things that have happened, but I thought, quite frankly, the 5-on-5, they were peppering him, and he just had he didn't have that standout save that really you're talking about today, but when they double you up on shots and he keeps you in there, they've only scored one goal in this whole series. But I want to ask you about Ovechkin and not only the goal that he scored, which he blasted that thing, but what else has he done that has controlled? Because I think he has really controlled this series by himself.
He is, and here's the thing about Alex Ovechkin. There are no other superstars. I mean, hockey's a little bit different because of the physical aspect of the game as opposed to the scoring part of the game. He's the only superstar in this sport that can take care of his own business. I mean, that little twerp Sean Couturier was pestering him for half a game, and he crushed him into the boards and got rid of him for the whole series. I mean, nobody else in the NHL can really do that. That's a superstar. His physical play is, up there with some of the guys who are in the league just to do physical stuff. And that's where the Flyers are kind of losing the series. I hadn't really even interviewed Alex Ovechkin until today, But Braden Shen said yesterday, yeah, he's a big boy. He's 230 pounds. So I'm thinking, really, is he that big? He is. You look it up, and he's 239 pounds, and the next closest Flyer is Jake Voracek at 215. So the Flyers are undersized here, and Ovechkin's known for that rocket of a shot, and for good reason. But his physical play is something that I don't know gets its full credit.
He sure does. He has really dominated in this series. Steve Mason obviously did not have a good game the other night. Just bad game? Is he wearing down? What is the thought there? I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going to make the switch at this point, but how much did that goal get to Mason?
I think he was able to put it behind him relatively quickly. I mean, the Ovechkin goal, I believe, was the third goal, and Ken Dryden in his prime didn't have a prayer at stopping that shot. So I wouldn't blame Mason for that one, and the fourth one was kind of in garbage time. I don't think the goal itself was terrible, but he's played really well, Steve Mason, for certainly the second half of this year. And the Flyers only scored one goal. He might be the best player in this series that's wearing a Flyers jersey, even still. So I don't quite understand why some of the critics and some of the fans get on his case so quickly. But to me, Steve Mason's definitely earned the chance to go back there. He will go back there, and he still might be the best Flyer in this series.
Hey, I got to ask you about Claude Giroux. It seems like this time of the year we're always talking about him. What is your take on his first two games?
I think the Flyers have just been in such a situation where he's being overtaxed because, they take penalties and he's a penalty killer. The power play obviously hasn't gone very well for anybody, and 5-on-5 he's playing his normal minutes also. So he's being extra taxed here, but he is the guy that needs to pick things up for the Flyers. He's pretty high up there. He's in like the low 20s in the all-time playoff points per game list. He's around a point per game. So he's certainly the one that's going to need to carry this team offensively, and maybe that comes tonight for them.
Hey, what? Just your thoughts on how the team suffered without Couturier. Do you think it was noticeable not having him there? In what way, if so?
Well, I think they certainly would be better with him, just from even if it's only from the standpoint of trying to stop Alex Ovechkin. He has the one goal, and it was a power play goal, and nobody was stopping that. He might have broke somebody's limb in half on its way in and still would have gone in. But I think that's probably the biggest standpoint. I think there's so much attention being paid to his line. And Nick Backstrom and TJ Oshie are pretty dangerous in their own right. But I don't know how much he would have helped offensively, but I think that does leave a big void, and it changes some other things. Braden Shen was playing on the wing. Now he's going back to center, and that probably, as much as he says he's comfortable there, that's probably a bit of an adjustment for a player. So it just kind of tweaks a little bit of everything, and now you're not dealing with what's normal or what the Flyers expected.
Dave Isaac at Dave G. Isaac on Twitter has plenty more getting you ready for tonight's game, Game 3. At the Wells Fargo Center. 97.3 ESPN's coverage begins at 7 o'clock. Dave, enjoy it, pal.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike.